All opinions expressed by podcast participants are their own and do not reflect the opinion of the Doña Ana County Clerk's Office or Doña Ana County.
Hello and welcome everyone to our newest episode of the Preserving History and Democracy podcast. My name is Caroline Zamora and I'm the Chief Deputy County Clerk.
And I'm Communications Coordinator Cynthia Mendoza.
So today we have a very special episode. We have two of our interns with us today, and we're going to be talking to them about their time here in our office, about the internship program, their hopes for the future, and then we're also going to get their opinions on the political topics of the day. So glad that you're tuning in.
So let's get started. Can you guys tell us your names, which school you go to, and your age as well? We'll start with you, Paris.
Okay. I'm Paris, and I'm 18. I just graduated from Arrowhead Early Park College.
What do you do for fun?
For fun, I play games, I draw, I like to write songs, even though I don't really sing. And yeah.
And how about you, Israel?
I'm Israel. I go to Oregon Mountain High School. I'm 17 and I play baseball.
Cool. So you graduate next year then, right? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Cool.
going into my senior year.
Nice. What do you do for fun?
Baseball.
Baseball, just baseball. Okay.
That's about it.
That's cool. That's something keeps you busy, right?
So how did you all hear about the intern program?
I started doing it the first year it started because my dad works here.
Oh, okay.
At the
What
county
department
building.
is he in?
He's IT.
Nice.
nice.
Yes.
What's his name? He was here the other day. What's your dad's name?
Anthony.
Anthony.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Nice.
that. So what do you guys, you just graduated high school. What do you want to do now that you're done with high school?
So I was working towards nursing and being in the medical field, but I ended up changing it last minute to be early childhood education.
Nice. Love it.
But right now I'm kind of on the fence of taking a gap year once I get my bachelor's and going on a net ministries thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. How about you, Israel? What do you want to do once you graduate from high school?
Honestly, I don't know right now. I'm just kind of seeing where life takes me. I know I want to go to college, but I'm not quite sure where that's
Oh,
going to go.
yeah. Okay, cool.
You're going to change your mind a couple times.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
That's okay. That's expected. I think
It will
I did
happen.
too. So
I changed my
mind.
major like 3 times.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's okay. You know, I think you kind of
That's what college is for.
You
That's
gotta
what your
figure out what
20s
you
are
like.
for.
Yeah. So
100%.
What were you originally going for?
I started off, actually, I did the early college before
nice.
like Arrowhead program and things like
Yeah.
that. So like instead of electives, I would take college courses, and I took like pre-med, like because I wanted to be a nurse.
Oh, nice.
And then when I got to college, I actually started as a music business major. Then I became a business major. And then I finally settled on psychology because I love psychology
So you have
much.
a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
she's got her master's, so she's
Oh, wow.
done it all.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm thinking of the PhD. We'll
Oh,
see.
nice. That would be
The only thing
awesome.
is, I paid off my student loans a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it's really nice not having to pay them.
I bet.
And so I'm like, do I really want to spend the money? Like, I really want a PhD.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not cheap.
No, I
So,
bet. It's like that
we'll
little
see.
cloud that looms over you, the student loans.
Yeah.
So that's the
Yeah.
only not fun thing about college. So try to get those scholarships.
Oh,
and
yeah.
as much as you can. So that's my advice.
Yes. So let's see. What did you all expect coming into the internship program?
I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit more organized. The first year I did it, I came in like 3 times to get my ID scanned. And I was like, I've done this multiple times already. But the third year I was like, okay, for sure this is going to be more organized. And it has been. So that's really nice.
Nice. Okay. So if people don't know, we have like 1,000 interns.
Yeah, and it's not just here at the county. They're also spread out throughout different places throughout Doña Ana County in general. So
Yeah, and so I believe, and I could be completely wrong, but I believe that Doña Ana County got like some grant funding to do this program, and we got really, really good at it. And so now we have, I want to say, at least 1,000 interns. And of course, like Cynthia said, they're not just interns here at the county. They're at businesses throughout Doña Ana County. It's just a really great way for, I think, young people to see like what's going on in the community, like even just things like how to be a good employee, showing up on time, like what you should wear, how to talk to people, how to answer phones, how to talk to customers, things like that.
Even like filing. I know you guys have been doing a lot of
Oh,
filing,
yeah.
which doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but I think it prepares you for the real world, and
Yeah,
it
for
looks great
sure.
on your resume, everything you guys are doing, even though it's not always the funniest thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's really great experience. It looks great on your resume, so I think you guys should keep it up. You guys
So
have been doing a
Israel,
great job.
what did you think coming in?
Coming in, I had no clue what to think.
Yeah.
I just
Was this your
kinda-
first year doing this?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is my first year doing this. I just kind of came in and just where I got assigned, I came here the first day with my new clothes and I got to work. That was about it.
And so, can you tell us and our listeners a little bit about what you all did here in our office?
So we worked in the archives, and we're just digitalizing a lot of the books and miscellaneous that's in there.
Have you guys found any cool documents while you've been in there?
I've been mostly on books, so I just see a
Okay.
bunch of names and
Oh,
business
fun.
names.
I'm mostly just scanning like easements and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So-
Cool. What did you guys learn from your internship this summer? What experience did you gain?
Honestly, last year that I did the internship, I wasn't really as talkative with all the people that I was working with. So being in a room with all of them, I feel like I'm more talkative with them, especially him.
Yeah.
Cool. How about you, Israel? Did you learn anything you think that you can take to the real world?
Definitely organization. I'm not big on organization. I
Yeah.
kind of just throw things all in one pile and hope it goes to it. So,
Lots of valuable skills. So
yeah.
I'm glad.
Very exciting. So, I want to go ahead and talk about. I know you all worked in the recording and filing side, but that's one side of the office. And I don't know how much you all got to learn about the election side of the office. Did you all get to learn anything?
No.
Not
Yeah,
much.
not really?
No.
Oh. See, so last time we had interns, I feel like we were in the middle of an election.
Yeah.
And so they learned a lot about elections
Oh, yeah.
just because of the timing of the year. And so, and I think just the timing that was going on with you all being here is we're like between the primary and the general. And so we had you all just working on digitizing, which is really important. We know people need to get into our records and it's easier if it's digitized. So we appreciate that. But yeah, we just didn't have an opportunity for you all to learn very much about elections. But I love hearing your generation's perspective on certain topics. And so I just want to know your opinion on stuff. And we did this last time with the
Yeah.
interns last time. It was really fun.
It was fun getting to
It was
hear
it
their
was very
opinions,
fun
so.
getting to know them and just hearing their perspective. So let me see. I'm going to pull up some topics.
So what do you guys actually know about elections? I'm curious because you said you didn't really get to learn much from here, but what's your general knowledge on elections so far?
Honestly, I don't know much. I haven't even registered to vote,
Okay.
but I need to do that. But I'm not really on the news that
Yeah.
much, so I never really get that much information. I should probably do that.
Where do you normally see the news? Like, is it in your social feeds?
Yes, I usually see on the social feeds. I used to watch the news because my grandpa would always watch it, but then we stopped with like cable and stuff, so
Yeah.
we just never watch the news now.
Yeah, I'm the same way because I haven't paid for cable in years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so most of the news I get is on a social feed, whether it's like from a news organization's page or something like that. And then I've got like a little antenna for my house and it like never works. Like I have to like really like rig it up on the wall
those
if I
things are
want to
hard.
get channel 7, you know?
Yeah.
So so if I really want to watch the news, I have to work pretty hard,
Yeah,
work
it's
hard
tough
to make
now.
it happen. And so yeah, and so Israel, do you follow news organizations? How do you get news?
I mean, I have a news app on my phone, but other than that, my family is usually pretty in tune with anything that happens in the U.S., so I kind of just, any house I go to,
Okay.
I kind of overhear most things.
Nice. Okay. So I'm going to see how you all feel about a couple of topics, okay? Let's see. First one, how do you all feel about gun violence?
That's a topic.
That's a topic,
Yeah,
huh?
that's a way to start it.
I could ask the hard question. It's okay.
Yeah, I think gun violence is a big issue, and I don't necessarily think it comes down to guns being the problem, but the person behind the gun. So I feel like it should be more strict on people who are getting a gun. Like, I feel like it should also go into their mental health as well whenever they're purchasing a gun. Like, has this person had any mental problems in the last decade? Has this person had any, like, issues that involved, like, anger management or suicidal thoughts? I feel like it should run deeper than just the basics.
Yep.
What about you,
Israel?
Yeah, I kind of share the same, thoughts that she has. My mom just took a course on like concealed carry. She had to take it on Zoom, but it was like an 8-hour class. So I don't know. It's
I also
pretty
have my
in-depth.
concealed carry.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are intense. Do you feel that your friends kind of feel the same way, or people your age? What do you think the general consensus is? You're shaking your head no. You're like,
I have a lot of different friends that share different views than me, but I don't necessarily hold it against them. There's a couple of my friends that believe guns in general should just be out of question, but I feel that's not the answer. That's like, oh, this is bad, you need to get rid of it in all. That's like saying that with anything else.
Yeah. Israel?
She's just saying everything that I was kind of doing. Honestly, I know it kind of feels like I'm mooching off her, but it's just mostly what I'm thinking as well.
Yeah.
So
Alrighty. All right. Next topic. Abortion.
Oh, another good one. Okay.
Yeah. You can start this one off.
Okay. I mean, honestly, it depends. Like, at young ages, like we are per se, if I were to have a kid, or in the earlier ages, I think I wouldn't say beneficial, but it's definitely helpful, like, to take that. I wouldn't say it's a burden, but off that child's shoulders, and especially like when there's a rapist involved, they're not going to want that child, of course. It's just going to be a burden of what happened that day, you know what I mean? So I think in some cases it is good, but in all reality, I think we should try to keep the babies, especially if you're older, because I'm trying to be a pretty religious person. So, that's something that God gave you. So I think for the most part.
That's so interesting. When I was in my 20s, I remember someone who was running in my district showed up to my house.
Yeah.
And I was living with my mom at the time. And on her door, we have, this is a Catholic home.
Yeah.
And so I'm answering questions because I'm into politics. I love politics. And so I'm answering questions and I'm doing his little survey. And he's like, so are you pro-choice or pro-life? And I'm like, oh, this is a pro-choice house.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, he looked from me to the sign on the door.
He's like, wait.
And he was like he could not put it together that like we're Catholic, but we were also pro-choice. And so I told him, I was like, and I literally said this to him. I said, not every Catholic is pro-life.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, I believe in the right to choose, and that every woman and her doctor have a right to choose what they want for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, I kid you not, he just kept looking at the sign and then looking at me, and like he could not fathom. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's possible to be both.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta respect other people's decisions. You just don't know their circumstances. So I think there's a in between. You don't have to be one or the other. You can say I believe in this and this, but I also believe people have the right to choose what they do with their bodies. So.
And that's definitely what I was going to say. Was I'm very religious. I'm Catholic as well. I personally am pro-life, but if I know people that aren't sharing the same beliefs as me, I'm not going to judge them for it, because that's not what you do as a Catholic. So I'm not going to push it on them, but I am going to tell them that's not what I would do. But if that's what they're going to do, I'll support them.
The war in Ukraine.
That's still going on.
Israel's like, yeah. He's like, why?
That's another tough one. I think it's a huge problem that a lot of people are ignoring or acting like since it doesn't involve them, it's not their problem. And people have explained it in a way that it is a genocide and it is something bad that's going on. What I don't support is when people start these peaceful riots and then it turns into more than it being peaceful, and it involves vandalism and breaking things. I think that's whenever it becomes an issue.
Yeah. And so I think we've seen those types of peaceful protests whether it was the war in Ukraine or the war in Gaza, Israel, and for Israel.
I thought she was calling me for a sec.
Yeah. So, do you have any thoughts before I continue with my opinion?
Well, I definitely think it is a big issue. It could lead to, like I said, I don't want to, well, I didn't say this, but I don't want to be controversial or anything, but it could lead to World War III. Because it's not just them. It could lead over here because we're sending American lives over there.
And it's so interesting because I think your generation, so as a millennial, like 9/11 happened when I was in, I want to say 6th or 7th grade. And so we were going to war, and the Iraq war was really ramping up, like during high school and especially college for me. And so I saw friends like sign up to be in the army, who were going to war, cousins who went to war, cousins who died in Iraq. And so, like, for my generation, like, I don't want to see us going into another war because I saw what it did to family. I saw what it did to friends. I saw what it did to, like, an entire generation. But I feel like your generation hasn't seen that yet. And so how do you all feel about the potential of conflicts?
I had my U.S. history teacher recently, and I was learning about, like, World War II and stuff like that. And he told us one thing that really stuck with me. And he said 3 simple words: war is hell. And I just saw the pictures and the videos, and that's not something that I think we need right now.
Yeah. And so also I had my grandpa served in World War II. And the few stories I know from him that he told us, and I mean, he was in D-Day. He saw some terrible fighting. He hated having, like, food could never go rotten in the house. Like, if meat was rotting, it was like it could not happen in the house because it brought back too many memories of just decomposing bodies or decomposing animals, animals in fields that were also blown up, things like that. So just decomposing flesh, and it would bring back too many, like, awful memories for him. So just, like, little things like that you don't realize what comes back with them. And so, like, I don't want to see us go into another world conflict. And I don't want to see other countries in conflict either.
Yeah.
Like, I don't I wish
Sad.
that, Israel and Palestine can work it out. But I mean, that's not for me to say. There are much smarter people in the world who are working on this.
Yeah.
But I just feel like there has to be just, like, a higher level of communication before we go to war, before anyone goes
It just feels
to
like there
war.
has to be something else that could happen before that.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, like you said, I guess we can't solve all the world's problems.
No,
but-
we can't.
Well, what really gets me is seeing all the children that get involved. I'm like, oh,
It's hard.
kids.
Yeah.
It's really
Yep.
sad.
So what are some issues that concern you guys at this age? I know when you're younger, sometimes people say, well, you don't know what you're talking about. You're young. You've never experienced this or that. But what are some issues that you guys, it really tugs at your heartstrings?
Just knowing where to go, I guess, in general in life. I mean, nobody really knows where to go because you don't know where you want to go, what you like, what you want to do. So it's just kind of hard.
A lot of the pressure of having to know what you want to do right then and right now. And I feel like you'll get what you're going to do later on. It's not going to come to you in just like a second or within a day. I feel like you are constantly changing, so your mind is constantly changing what you feel like you're going to be doing. So I feel like that's where I'm stuck the most, is figuring out what I want to do.
So where do you guys get your information from when it comes to, I guess, news on politics, on anything really? Where do you get your information from, and how do you know if it's accurate information?
I usually get it from my grandfather or my uncle, because my uncle's a police officer, and my grandpa also used to work for the government. So they're usually pretty in tune with what happens in the U.S. So I usually just believe what they say.
This is gonna sound so corny, but I get it from TikTok.
Okay.
But I
A
follow
lot of people do.
Yeah,
but
I
I
do
follow a
too.
lot of
News
news
organizations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
organizations on TikTok. So I usually get my information from there, and usually whenever it captivates me, I'm gonna go and look more into it. And if I see a lot of the same thing, I'm gonna assume that's true. But if I see one thing saying one and another website saying another thing, that makes me go into a whole rabbit hole of trying to figure out what's actually the truth.
Yeah.
So it's just
So in your classes, have you all taken any like media training where they're teaching you how to, okay, this is a fake news source and this is like,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I took a work ethics class, and I even took language composition. So that's what a lot of our articles were based on. I even wrote an article about immigration, and that was one of the main things, was figuring out what sources were real, what sources were fake.
Yeah. And so I think and I'm glad that they're teaching this in school now. Like, oh, well, like this was not a problem for us like
Yeah.
growing up. Fake news organizations it was a very, I mean, I grew up, like, I didn't have social media growing up, right?
Yeah.
And so we didn't have to worry about all these fakes out there. And now there are so many people faking so many things.
Now artificial intelligence.
yeah,
is a
AI
thing, so
is
that's
crazy.
scary.
Yeah. And so I'm glad that they're teaching you all like how to discern a fake from an actual credible news source.
And it's not even necessarily fake. It's figuring out what sources are biased.
Yeah.
Like figuring out which
absolutely.
ones are one-sided, which ones are getting both sides. That's the biggest issue
Yeah.
with sources like this.
My recommendation is always to like watch like the three major. Like don't just stick to one of the news outlets. Go
Yeah.
and watch the three and see how they're talking about a specific topic.
Yeah.
Like
Because they'll be
go,
covering
you
the
know,
same thing, but they're gonna
Yeah.
twist it a different way.
From they're gonna twist it using their lens.
It's going to
Exactly, yeah.
persuade you one way, and then you're going to hear it another way, and you're going to be like, wait, was I thinking wrong?
Exactly.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and so that's always like my recommendation is don't just leave it on one news org all day long. And even like personally, like in my own social feeds, like I try to have some more right leaning, some more left leaning, some more like honestly, I like European ones. Like I follow like the BBC because they report America
Yeah.
how they see it rather than
You're like,
like,
whoa, is this
yeah.
how they see us?
Yeah, or
That's
there's
bad.
some German ones are also really good
Okay.
too. And again, they report it how they see it. They're not persuaded to pick one side of the aisle.
I have to check that out.
Yeah, and so I think it's good to have those other news sources in there.
Yeah.
Do you guys let social media kind of affect your opinion? If you see one friend kind of leaning one way, do you also say, oh, okay, well, my friend thinks this way, so maybe I should kind of think that way? Or do you guys kind of think for yourselves and say, okay, well, let me do research on this topic before I form an opinion?
I think I'm pretty firm in my beliefs and everything. Of course, like I've said multiple times, I'll support my friends, but I'll never change my opinion based off of what they're choosing.
How about you, Israel?
Yeah, I kind of have my own opinions, and I don't really have social media. I mean, I have like
Yeah.
one social media app, but at that point, it's not really like a, big
Yeah.
news type thing. So
Okay, cool.
Anything else y'all want to tell us today?
Uh,
Anything else you want to talk about?
no,
Not necessarily. Hey,
Just- you got
this
some
has
more
been
fun
fun. I was
topics.
excited about this.
What's one thing you wish the older generations knew about your younger generation?
Oh, this is a good one. When older generations are like, oh, I worked twice as hard as you did, and I was paying for this, this, and this. But what they're not understanding is everything has raised in prices, and what we make has not met. It hasn't been at the same ratio as everything else that has been raising. So it's a lot harder for us as well. I have 2 jobs right now, and I'm still saving up for a car. And I've been doing this since January. So, yeah,
No, I
it
think
really
you're
is.
absolutely right. I think there's this one professor I follow. In fact, maybe I'll show it to them real quick, Jacob, and you all can tell me what you think. So I just showed them two videos from Scott. What is his name? Professor Scott.
In the United States,
Scott Galloway. From Professor Scott Galloway. And I know he's talking about 30 and 34-year-old, between the ages of 30 and 34, which is me and Cynthia. We're in our 30s. But I feel like this is no different for your generation also. It's not like it's going to get better for you all overnight.
Yeah.
You were just talking about how people my age we are now, when our parents were our age, our parents had almost double the income. And so it's made things like buying houses harder. He gave statistics on people my age not having kids. I don't want kids. I can't afford them. And I don't want, like, I'm good. Life is fine without them. But we're seeing, I mean, I believe the statistic he gave was at this age, my age, 67% of people had children. And now it's only 27%. And so and the way he's framing it is people are opting out of America because it's no longer the American dream.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel attainable no more.
And it doesn't.
I remember thinking back when I was your guys' age, like, oh, I can't wait to buy a house by the time I'm 26 or be married by the time I'm 27. And now it's just, everything is so expensive. I was finally able to afford a house this year with my boyfriend, but we had to really work for it, and it's hard. And I think the house we got probably would not have been as expensive as it is now 10 years ago, so it's pretty insane. But do you guys feel hopeful for your generation? How does that make you feel about your generation? Is it a little scary? Are you hopeful?
It is very scary, but I feel like we just gotta work harder.
Does it feel unfair, though, that older generations kind of just say, well, you just gotta work hard and it'll happen?
It is kind of unfair, but life's unfair. You just gotta do what you do.
What
do you think, Israel?
Life changes. You just got to roll with it, I guess.
Yeah. So you guys are pretty positive, it seems like, which is good.
Try to be.
Yeah. It's hard during these times, but just got to keep going.
Yeah.
And what did you think about the statistic? Do you think seeing young men around your age, do you feel that, I mean, he was giving the statistics about young men committing suicide. It's 4 times the suicide rate, young men committing suicide.
I actually recently did a paper on that
Really?
about suicide rates between teenage girls and teenage boys. And with girls, they're more suicidal, but they usually seek out the help. Men are less likely to seek out the help, so they're more prone to actually committing suicide. And that's very sad because they have it in their head that since you're a guy, you can't be vulnerable, you can't be emotional. So I think we as people need to let men know that we're here for them as well, and not just women.
There was another podcast, and I didn't post about it, that Scott Galloway had talked about, and something like he hadn't cried for like 12 years. And I'm like, dude, you're holding in all those emotions. You're like a ticking time bomb.
I cry like every day.
Yeah,
I don't know how to do it.
You got, like, it's
okay to cry.
okay.
Yeah.
It's 100% okay to be emotional and to cry. And we're not mental health professionals. Just want you to know that. And so, so do you, I guess, are you seeing this with young people that you've gone to school with, that you go to school with? What are you hearing from friends?
It's like I've said, I had a good handful of guy friends. I'd play basketball with them, and I used to eat lunch with them, and they would talk about it. They're like, yeah, it's hard to find help whenever everyone just looks at you as like this big old baby whenever you seek help, where they're just like, oh, man up.
No.
Yeah. And that's super, super sad. I feel for them because I'm like, you poor guys.
Yeah. Israel?
Yeah, I mean, my mom's a therapist, so she can't necessarily tell me about the people themselves, but she can kind of tell me some of the problems that she sees within some of her male patients. And I see the people at my school, the men and women too, not just men, but just because of your video, they're struggling. Like, I hear it all around me, but just, they don't know what to do.
Do you see any of your friends like reaching out for mentorship? Whether it's, what mentorships are out there? What, the Boys and Girls Club? Like, are there mentorship programs?
I used to go there.
Yeah? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Nice.
I went there from the ages of 5 till about 16, so last year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you see like other guys your age like actually seeking out male role models or mentorship in any way?
Not necessarily.
No?
Not really.
Why do you think it's so taboo for, even now, for guys to reach out for help and, reach out for that help if they need it?
I don't know. The way that I see it, we're kind of just shot down when we need help.
Right.
And then another thing is a lot more now we're seeing the actual fathers of males now, they're just leaving. So why are we going to go and seek out a male when it's a male that left us? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard.
For sure.
Wow. I was going to ask you all something and now it left me.
I have one. Oh, who
Go
do you
ahead.
guys look out to for, I guess, mentorship? Either whether it's parental figures or siblings, church. Who do you guys reach out to for that kind of mentorship?
Usually I talk with my parents about it, but I also seek stuff through the church, like the net ministries. I feel like that's a good thing because you're taking time to yourself. 9 months. 9 months you're out in the US just traveling and sharing the gospel. So I think that's pretty great. It gives you kind of the independent and working on yourself and working on social skills. I think that's a big thing that teenagers lack is social skills. Some people can just come off as rude just straight off the bat, and you're just kind of like, oh.
Well, you guys have grown up with basically cell phones,
Yeah.
And I think when cell phones didn't start becoming a thing until I was maybe like in middle school or maybe early high school. But now you guys, I don't know how early you guys had tablets or phones, but it seems like it starts so early now.
Yeah, for sure. And social media has a big impact on everyone and their views and values, I believe. So,
How about you, Israel? Who do you look out for mentorship?
Mentorship. Usually my grandma or my mom or my grandpa usually. Any of the adults in my family I can usually look towards. So that's always something I've always been able to lean on, and I'm very grateful for.
That's good. I was going to tell you all. It came to me. I remember it. Actually happened this weekend. And one of my core group of friends here in town, one of them's a guy and the other three are girls. And we were at one of the breweries, just, Saturday lunch. And we actually were talking about this, why I think men have such different friendships than what women have. And I told my friend, which is so unfair to him because he spends most of his time, he has daughters.
Yeah.
And he spends most of his time with us. His friends are all women.
Yeah.
And so he's used to just being around women. And so I told him, I was like, think about your male friends. How much do you actually know about them? Yeah. Because I feel like men can have friendships and then they're like, you never told me you had a daughter. I'm like, well, she's 12. And what? You didn't tell me you had a 12-year-old daughter? I never knew. Because I feel like men just don't talk about really in-depth things.
Yeah.
And they don't build these really caring, in-depth relationships. And I feel like women just do.
yeah.
And so we were talking about that because I was telling him, I don't know why we were talking about this, but we were talking about if his wife dies before he does, he would be lost without her.
Oh my goodness.
And then I told her, if he dies before you, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But that's true. There's actual data to back that up.
Yeah.
Is that women are fine because women have built these caring relationships with other women and friends outside of marriage. But men really rely on their spouse to be their best friend.
Yeah.
And they don't build strong, caring relationships with other men.
That's super funny. Me and my friend were actually talking about something like that because she has a guy friend and he recently told her that he had feelings for her. And she was like, why is this whenever I've been his friend for so long? And I was like, it's because guys aren't used to being open. So whenever they have that figure that's like, oh, I'm willing to listen. I'm here for you. I'm going to hang out with you every day. I'm going to talk to you about things you don't usually talk about. He's like, oh, she's the one, because they don't usually talk about that stuff with anyone else.
With anyone else. With women, that's how we build our friendships.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about
so
things.
a girl doing that stuff, it's very normal.
Yeah.
So she didn't quite understand it, but I've been told this by my guy friends. They're like, we just never get that. So it's very shocking to them, and they're like, oh, I'm in love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would. It doesn't change as you get older, okay?
I know.
My boyfriend will be talking to his friends on the video games and stuff, and something crazy will happen. I'm like, well, what happened? He's like, oh, I don't know. He didn't get much details. I'm
Yeah.
like, why didn't you get
I need
details?
the details.
I know
The details are the
I
part.
don't understand how guys can hear all this stuff, but they don't ask when it happened,
Right.
how it happened.
Or what happened exactly.
I
Yeah,
remember.
exactly.
I remember one of my friends being like, "Yeah, his mom died," and I'm like, "What happened? Tell me. What do you mean his
Oh,
mom?"
I didn't ask.
I didn't ask. I was like,
Oh my
"What?"
Yeah.
They're like, when is the funeral coming up? Did the funeral already happen? Should we go?
Like,
do
oh,
we
I don't
need,
know.
does he need friends there? Do we need to take food?
Yeah.
And he was like, "I don't know. I didn't ask."
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah, it's so interesting. But I wonder, I just wish that there was a way that we can help, because I know this all seems very off topic for our office.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, having well-rounded individuals
Yeah.
leads to a stronger electorate, a stronger business community, a stronger community in general.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, it all relates to our office in some way. But I'm just like, how can we make any of this better? And I don't think any of us have those answers here. Like, we are not experts in any of this.
Right. No.
But
Do you have any opinions, Israel, on what
Yeah.
like us females can
Tell
do to
us,
kind
yeah.
of help men?
I have no clue. I
For
mean,
Israel.
I've had a buddy for like the past 8 or 9 years, and I was thinking about what you said. And I have one picture of him through these 9 years, and it's not even with him. It's a picture I got of him on Snapchat with the filter.
Yeah.
And then just what you were saying, like, we don't know much, we don't ask much. Like, I called him the other day just out of nowhere, and then we were just talking, and then all of a sudden he tells me that he's been talking to this girl for like 2 months, and I had no clue. And I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then what you were talking about, how like we don't talk to men, and then we talk to, you know, our spouse or our girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. And I have a girlfriend right now. I talk to her all the time about like things like you were saying, more emotional things. But when I talk to my friend, it's just what's happening in the day. Like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Good. That's good. No one died. That's good.
That's it. Huh?
Very brief.
It's interesting. I'm sure there's studies out there on it, but I'm just curious on why that happens.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Why
and
they
I
talk
don't.
to other
Yeah, I don't
males.
know why men aren't actively building stronger male friendships.
Yeah.
I think it also falls under the stigmatism that men can't be emotional, you can't cry, this and that. So they're kind of more closed off whenever it comes to scenarios like that.
You know, it's interesting. I agree, 100% agree. There is another podcast I listen to, and it's on blue zones. And blue zones are areas in the world where being a centenarian, so living to 100 years, is normal. And there's one in Italy, and I want to say it's Sicily or something like that. And they have these communities where these men have, it's very common, they live to be 100. And what is interesting about that community specifically is it because men have these really big friendships, and not just like very superficial friendships, like kind of what
Yeah.
we're talking about. We're talking about like they not only like went to war together, they were like each other's best man in their wedding. They like have like every Sunday their families eat together. Like they have really strong male friendships,
Oh, wow.
but also that's not seen around the world.
Yeah.
And also they're living to 100. And there's also other things like, you know, walking and things and other like physical things that also contribute. But just having those close male strong relationships is
Yeah.
one of the things that is different about them.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I know.
It's crazy.
This has been a fun podcast.
I know. We didn't really get
Hasn't
to talk
been a
about this
good one?
last time.
We
It's
didn't get to.
nice.
Last time we talked about some crazy stuff, but this one's been really fun too.
It has. It's
Yeah.
been nice hearing your guys' opinion because, like Caroline said, we're millennials, so I mean, we don't really get to hear the your guys' generation's
Yeah, I
opinion.
just don't
Yeah.
have time to I don't have those opportunities to spend with people your age. And so getting to like sit down and talk and see like what your perspective is on things, I think is really,
Yeah.
really important and fun.
Yeah.
I actually do have another question because we do voter registration drives for high schools, and sometimes it seems like your generation's not as interested in elections. So, what do you think is something we can do to kind of interest you guys in that and kind of show you the importance of it?
I feel like
Might be a tough one.
yeah.
No, I feel like kids these days, there's not much you can do to
Right.
convince them. They're more concerned with their phones or with
Yeah.
their friends, or I don't think you can bring them.
Darn.
I feel like it's them lacking a lot of knowledge, and there has been a lot of things where like stuff that we're taught is like mostly one-sided based on what we perceived it, and I feel like that discourages a lot of teenagers that like, oh, what we're doing is wrong or it's fake or we don't know the full truth. So they're just kind of like, I don't want to be involved in that. So I feel like that's what the major
What's going
issue
on.
is
Okay, so it's not us.
Yeah, I feel like it's the misinformation that's being told.
Which
to
is
them.
crazy because we tell a lot of kids your age too. You guys are outnumbering us.
Yeah.
So you guys have a lot more power than we do when it comes to
If your
voting.
generation voted, it would be a completely different country.
Oh yeah.
And it's crazy because I hear from a lot of younger people, there's a lot of old people in politics. Well, you guys have the power to change that.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, if y'all organized. Do you see people your age, like if there's a certain topic that they're passionate about, do they go out and learn about it? Do they, I don't know, start a protest? Do they, like, do you see that?
I definitely do. I have friends in and out of college, and a lot of what they believe in, they go out of their way to learn more about it and make these little groups about it. I have a friend who actually has been doing protests for the Palestine versus Gaza situation, and it turned into like a whole thing, but I thought that was pretty great that she was not just going off of what she knew off of the top of her head or what she was given. She went out and found more information before she chose what she was going to do. So I think that's pretty encouraging that people are informed.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, anything else we want to talk about today?
What's your guys' favorite sports or favorite teams?
Oh.
I'm trying to keep it light now.
I like football. My family is big football watchers, and we're Vikings fans.
Cool.
People hate on them a lot, but I love them.
How about you, Israel?
I'm a big baseball fan, thanks to my grandpa. We watch baseball all the time, but our favorite team is the St. Louis Cardinals.
Cool. Nice. What else are you guys doing this summer? I know it's almost over, unfortunately, but any cool plans?
Just working. I came back from 2 different retreats that I went on with different churches, so that was fun.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Good. Cool. Any other questions, Caroline?
No, I think that's it. This has been a lot of fun, just learning about your perspectives and your kind of worldview, and it's been really fun and interesting. I hope you all enjoyed your time with our office.
Yes.
I hope that the internship was fun. Yeah, and I know Israel, I think you'll probably have an opportunity to come back next year if you want. And so, yeah, thank you all for everything.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Well, that's all we have for this episode today. My name is Caroline Zamora. I'm the Chief Deputy County Clerk. I want to thank my co-host, Cynthia Mendoza, our communications coordinator. I want to thank our 2 interns, Paris and Israel, who joined us today. I also want to thank behind camera, Jacob Slaughter, who is our video producer extraordinaire for everything he does. If you want to reach out to us, you can send us an email, dacclerks@doñaanacounty.org. All right, and be sure to follow us on all the social platforms. Also, be sure to like and follow our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll see you next time.